Good morning, another day and another strategy practice lesson number 7. Today's tip, and this is one thing that really does annoy me, is I obviously keep an active interest in what other teachers are saying about the IELTS, etc., and a lot of them actually make it hard work for students, and if you listen to a lot of these strategies that they bring out, and I don't think they realize how short 1 minute is to prepare for the IELTS speaking part 2, the long term, and the way they suggest that you do it and try to think of sentences and it just isn't practical. As I'm sure the majority of my people watching these videos and my students, certainly my students before, they knew that, and they've all done very well. So I'm not telling you anything that I haven't practiced in the past, and I haven't seen it working very well. 1 minute, you've got very little time. By the time you've read the task and you've looked at the options, and then you've come to decide, okay, what strategy am I going to use, and then what am I going to talk about? You probably used about 15 seconds at least of your 1 minute preparation, so you don't have time to start thinking about the sentences, etc. You've got to rely on your inherent vocabulary and grammar, etc., to help you through these questions. And that's no problem as long as you've practiced. It's practice is the key. Please believe me. And please don't listen to a lot of the rubbish that's been put up there on YouTube, etc., about other ways to deal with it. The people that have done the test, I see they are very competent, and there is some good people out there that say that realize you've got to have a good strategy, and it's got to be a quick strategy, not any of this dragged out stuff that some of these other so-called institutions, teachers, etc., are professing that work good. So that's my moan, and that's my advice. So let's get on with number 7. Let's go and take a look at this topic. Okay, today's task card or cue card, or whatever we want to call it. Today's card is talk about a hobby you enjoy. And you should say how you got into it, what you do, and why you find it enjoyable. Oh, that's quite an interesting one. It's okay. Let's look at what strategies we can use here. Let's look at the first one: past, present, and future. Well, past and present. Could you talk about a hobby you might have in the future? Unlikely. So, past, present, and future. Let's forget that. 2 hobbies, yeah, that's very much possible. That sounds very good, actually. Once again, it's a very popular strategy. And what about the third one, the pros and the cons? Well, yes, you could talk about that. You could talk about you have this hobby, but it's got its pros, that you enjoy it and it gives you a lot of self-satisfaction and it takes up time and all the rest of it. And the cons is that maybe you don't have you can't really spare the time, or it's expensive, or maybe you have to travel to do it if it's something like horse riding or something like that. Yeah, it's possible, but once again, I think the optimum strategy for this one is the two hobbies. Let's talk about 2 hobbies that you have. Well, a minimum of 2 anyway. You may have 3 hobbies. You can extend it to 3 if you wanted. Now let's look at what they've used here. Talk about a hobby you enjoy. You should say how, what, and why. So we've got how, what, and why. What does that leave us with? As I said, they've used what, how, and why. and they've not used who, when and where. But we're going to use who, when and where when we do our answers, aren't we? Of course we are. Now to the notes. Remember, you've got 1 minute to prepare, and this is part of the preparation. So my notes here, answer the strategy, 2 answers, that's the strategy, and my answers will be about modelling plastic models and plaster figurines. And then of course we've got our 6 tools here that are going to help us expand our answers out to fill that 2 minutes very easily, we hope.
I must admit that at present, I don't have any significant hobbies to mention. However, during my younger years, I was genuinely passionate about 2 distinct hobbies. Firstly, I used to derive immense enjoyment from assembling intricate plastic models. These kits came in various forms, ranging from renowned ships to aircraft, and even encompassed famous characters. I distinctly recall assembling the 3 Musketeers, which was quite a memorable experience. The level of detail in these models was remarkably precise, and working with the numerous minuscule parts posed quite a challenge. The process of assembly and careful gluing demanded a certain finesse, as I consistently aimed to avoid the comical mishap of inadvertently sticking those small parts onto myself. Once the assembly phase was complete, the models needed to be meticulously painted, a task that consumed a significant amount of time. Purchasing separate paint sets for these models, which were rather pricey, was an essential step. Nonetheless, the satisfaction I gained from this hobby was unparalleled. My bedroom ceiling was adorned with gracefully suspended airplanes, while ships and military equipment occupied every available surface. The second hobby that captivated my interest was crafting plaster ornaments. Back in the day, these ornaments enjoyed a wave of popularity, gracing countless homes with their presence. Whether it was flying ducks or delicate flower motifs, these pieces added a touch of charm to walls. The process would commence with acquiring rubber molds and plaster, effectively initiating a miniature production line. The initial stages were a tad messy, involving the careful mixture of plaster with water before being poured into molds. Once the molds were removed, the subsequent step was to painstakingly paint each ornament. The joy of producing these items in bulk was truly gratifying. Many of them found their way into the hands of neighbors as Christmas presents, forging a heartwarming connection. Witnessing my creations adorning their walls during subsequent visits filled me with a profound sense of accomplishment. In a nutshell, these hobbies painted the canvas of my youthful years with creativity and satisfaction. They were not only engaging activities but also poignant reminders of the joys of dedication and craftsmanship. Like a ship navigating the sea of time, these hobbies have left a lasting mark on the shores of my memories.
Well, there we are, folks. Another one under the belt. How are you doing anyway? Is it coming? Are you getting used to these strategies? Can you make them work? Let me know, please, in the comments. It would really encourage me to know if you're finding them useful or not. It's a lot of work daily, and I hope it's benefiting people around the world. That's one other thing, please. Let me know where you are, who you are, and where you are in the world. That really intrigues me to know where I'm getting students from. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.